Yes, welcome. This was me, heavy breathing. This is Josephine Ross, and this is the podcast called Turned On. I want us to have a turned on life. This is for the women who want to be turned on by life, by love, by a man, by themselves. Yes, this podcast is usually in German, but I am also switching to English sessions sometimes, and my Instagram is English, so therefore I decided to give it a try with my German English to let you know what turned on means and why I do heavy breathing sounds when I'm recording a podcast session. Because I have a method and I call it sexual breathing. Because breathwork is not only there to heal your trauma or your childhood trauma or anything you see online about releasing emotions and laying on the floor and crying. Yes, breathwork can be used to be turned on. Breathwork to unlock pleasure, breathwork to unlock your highest self, your fully expressed feminine version. Yes, men can use it too, but I work with women most of the times. I do breath work for men and women, but particular sexual breathing is for women to unlock pleasure. And the good thing is, pleasure is a word in English we don't have in German because it doesn't only mean uh, pleasure in the bedroom, so lust, desire. It also means living in full pleasure for me. It means the dolce vita we would call in Italy. I'm now in Mallorca in Spain, and I would say the Mediterranean people, they live pleasure all day. It's about enjoying the cup of coffee, sitting in a coffee shop, looking to the ocean in front in the sunshine. That's my dog in the background, by the way. um to really enjoy life and, yeah, pleasure, food. Just don't be in a rush, be in the feminine. And a woman in pleasure, and that is also important, a woman can only have pleasure, real pleasure and desire, when she's well rested. When she's well rested, because our nervous system works in that way, and our pleasure and our arousal needs more time and needs space. Instead of man can use sex and pleasure and the arousal to get rid of stress. As women, most of the times, we can't have pleasure if we are stressed. And in our 24/7 hustle mode, um, the thing what we don't have is rest, pleasure, like laying down, surrendering, just enjoying life as it comes in the moment, being present in the body, feeling what's actually there. And this is when pleasure can come to the surface, when real arousal starts. So, why am I doing this? I am doing this because I was this great independent career woman. With 27 years old, I was a sales director in a fashion company, and I was on the peak of my career. Everyone would say, "Wow, she's happy. She's earning lots of money." Yes, I did. The surface, everything on paper looked good. I had relationships, I had a nice, hot guy, but to be honest, I never had a real orgasm. I never had really fun in bed. I always, also, as a really successful, independent, confident woman, I just had, I was just pleasing man. I was pleasing him to, and men to have fun. And I thought, this is how sex works. This is how pleasure has to be for a woman. This is how it is, right? And then you see like all these YouPorn shit things, and then you think, okay, this is not sex. For sure, we know that this is just a lot of, I don't know, this is just a movie, right? But yeah, I always thought this is how it is until I quit my job, went to Bali in 2014. I went into classes, I don't know how they were called, but it was like everyone was breathing and screaming and mourning around me and having orgasms. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Years later, this was 2014, now we have 2026. I am working with that, exactly that. So it's sometimes funny to see where you started and where you are going and then look back. And it's like, yes. So I started doing breathwork training in 2018, before the pandemic hit. And I am a yoga teacher, so I always use breath and I really realized I love using breath in my sports, in my fitness journey, and also in my yoga classes because it brings me to a relaxed and focused state. So I use breathwork today for focus, high performance decision making for men and women, and also the sexual breathing for women to back in the body, to get arousal there, to release all the emotions we suppressed for years. And that's shame, that's guilt, that's anger, that's everything we are not allowed to feel when we grow up as little girls and when we grow up as a woman. And a woman who's successful is never angry. A woman who's successful is well behaved. And this is why pleasure is missing in our life, why we can't feel anymore, because we never learned to live and really deeply feel all these deep emotions. So I started the breathwork training. This is where I started. Um, and for me, it was like not about, oh, yes, I can get high on breath. Yes, that was one of the parts. But it was never about this, oh, I have to release all the shit and I'm into my childhood trauma. For me, it was, it really makes me horny. It really makes me horny, and I can feel something is coming up. And it really hit me during that breathwork training. I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I felt like, oof, it's coming from the pelvic floor, in my womb, in my belly, into my heart, to the spine, up to the chest. It was like, fuck, what is that? That was my first full body orgasm during a breathwork training. I was like, whoa, what's that? So I practiced this at home again, different kind of sitting, laying, music. And I feel like, yes, that's sexual energy here. That's an energetic orgasm. And I started to dive then into tantra. I had a tantra massage, best orgasm, by the way, I ever had in Berlin. And I had tantra massage. Did emotional release, somatic work, all the things. But for me, it was really clear this is where I want to go. I want to teach women to come back to the body, to really feel what kind of potential lays there in the pleasure, what kind of potential lays in her body, in her womb she never used because she suppressed everything. We suppress all these emotions and all the pleasure because it's, oh my God, I can't do this. It's shameful, sinful. That's not what we do here. And I don't know what kind of culture you are in, but the Germans are not the most emotional people. We are very direct, but we are not very emotional. And I think in the US as well, women are really into success and into well behaved, being well behaved, doing all the things that you think are the right things to do. But what we lose on that way, we lose ourselves and we lose our feminine energy. And the feminine energy is not being a wife and being at home and being a mom. The feminine energy is first and foremost very seductive, powerful sexual being. This is the creation of everything. A woman can create life. And in other cultures, mostly in the eastern part, if you look in the Taoism, in Buddhism, in Kundalini, in Tantra, in all the things, they always bowed to women because they were the goddesses, not the men. Also in Egypt, right? You can look them up. All the goddesses were women. This is the power we have. And I want us to live that. And that is not woo woo. So, for anyone who is into medicine and into physics, if we breathe deeper, for sure, any one of us is not breathing right. Most of the time, we are so stressed that we just breathe on 40% of our volume. We just breathe in the chest. So, if you do deeper breathing as men and women, we have more energy, we have more oxygen in the blood, we have more oxygen for our muscles and for our brain. Therefore, our body functions better. This is the health part, longevity, you can call it. And then, if you breathe more and deeper into the pelvic floor and you combine that, and you really, I know I have a special technique on that, but if you breathe on that, and then what happens? More oxygen in the blood, in the tissues. That means I'm more sensitive to touch. I'm more sensitive to touch from myself or from my partner. And that means arousal is there. The orgasm lasts longer. There is more like full body energy and arousal. And how this is the energy you want to have in sex. This is oof, right? And if you then are able to surrender fully to your partner, if you're able to fully surrender to yourself, to feel that. And that requires maybe to feel everything before the shame, the guilt, the anger, to release that and make space for it. This is where the turn on starts. And I promise you, you will never want to have that not in your life. You want to be turned on. You want to be a life that feels alive. You want to have a life that feels alive. That's the right word. So if you want to step into that energy, join me. Join me online on Instagram at Josefine Ross. Join me on the podcast. Join me in Mallorca. I'm happy to guide you through. I'm doing private sessions here. I'm doing breathwork classes here. And I'm also doing like weekends for you, like the full feminine weekend to tap into European, Mediterranean, sensual, feminine energy. Um, yeah, that's what I do. That's my purpose. And it's not woo woo, it's really, you can look it up how breath improves sexual arousal and therefore also improves your relationship. Because we don't need more successful women who are men. We need successful women who are fucking unapologetic, but also feminine, powerful, feminine, sexy, and strong, and sensual, and soft. And if you are still looking for your partner, maybe it's time to do some breath work with me and to change that energy. Then you tap into full feminine attraction mode. Okay, that's from my side. Just to give you some example, let's do some breathing. Close your eyes, sitting or laying down. Just put one hand on the lower belly and start to breathe into the belly and out with the mouth. Yes, you can make sounds that's helping your nervous system to relax. Inhale and let it out. Exhale. 5 more. In. Good. 4 in. Deep in. Deep exhale out. Deep in and out. One more deep in and hold it at the top. Squeeze your pelvic floor. Hold it. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale. Release. Just enjoy what's there. Maybe more sensation. Maybe a little bit of, oh yes, my body can relax. And a relaxed, well rested woman is open to receive pleasure and love. Yeah, let's be turned on. Thank you for following. Give me rate, stars, comments. I love that. And maybe share that episode to your best friend. Let's be turned on this year. It's the year of the fire horse. It's the year of fire, feminine energy. and pleasure. Thank you.